Hi, everybody, and welcome to my podcast, Pep Talks. I am your host, Kat Frisbee, aka Pepper, and this is a yoga episode. In these episodes, we will talk about all things yoga, everything yoga, and that's a lot. So no matter your age, your gender, your weight, your mindset, religious, non-religious, whatever it is, I'll bet that you can find some topics in these episodes that will help you on your journey. Here we go. Hi everybody, and either welcome or welcome back to Pep Talks. I am your hostess, Kat Frisbee, aka Pepper, with Yoga with Pepper, and this is a yoga episode. I am a 500-hour certified, registered, and insured yogini with a myriad of experience. And had you listened to my prior yoga episode, you would have heard about what this one will be about. So the last episode was all about myths. So the reasons why you feel like, or maybe are kind of making up, you can't make it to the mat. So we busted all those myths. We figured out that you can make it to the mat, in fact. Now we're going to talk about why we do it. So I am here to let you know right now that if you are not already hooked on yoga, doing yoga, mind, body, spirit, if you will, then that's because you haven't found the right yoga for you. Now, often you may have heard in the past these few things that are kind of an encompassing definition of what yoga provides for you. People will say the mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional aspects of yoga, and the often forgotten one, and actually I don't hear it, but I always say it, is the existential. At a bare minimum, at least one of these 5 things applies to you, or you can get more of it and you could benefit from it. So the most common one that I hear in the Western Hemisphere in relation to mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, and existential is the physical. So let's talk about that side first. If you have any prior surgeries or injuries or something chronic or something degenerative, or depending on your age, maybe some things just don't work as well as you wish that they would. Well, all of these things can be approached in yoga. One of the things I must say is if it hurts, don't do it. If it hurts, don't do it. That's when you know to stop. Everything else that feels like maybe a little further stretch than you normally would, that's entirely fine. I could go deeper into the physical and explain to you all of the different kinds of surgeries and injuries I have seen and what to watch out for and what not to do, but that would take me forever, and that's part of the reason you hire me in the first place, and I have to work with you on that. What you can do though is if you have a surgery or injury and you're going to a group class or a one-on-one class, regardless, if there's a teacher there, then tell them what you've got going on, because then they will tell you what to avoid when they're about to teach it, or they'll avoid teaching that entirely. So that way you are not injuring yourself further. There are plethora of stretches in yoga poses, if you will, asanas, that can alleviate pain, can open up the muscles that are maybe too tight and you feel like that's an injury. There are ways to, I have personally a very horrible neck issue and cervical spine issue and lumbar spine issue. And when I do yoga, it doesn't hurt. When I don't do yoga, it does. So imagine that yoga can be not your end-all be-all for any physical ailments that you have, however, something that can alleviate you from things. And again, if it hurts, don't do it. That's just the rule of thumb. If you want to look up online What poses should I avoid because I have a hip replacement, I have a shoulder injury, I have a bicep tear, I have a cervical spine problem, I have a jaw problem? Look it up. There will be things that they say, okay, you should avoid this. Or you might even find, okay, you should do this. I don't normally prefer Google to find teachers, but you could Google some different practices of the stretches that you see that you're supposed to do to be able to help whatever the issue is going on. Now let's talk about if you don't have any problems at all. You're just a super athlete and you stretch all the time and you lay on your beamer mats and everything's all hunky-dory for you. Great. Still do yoga, because yoga is going to balance your body, mind, and spirit. Yoga is going to get nutrients flowing through your body that need to flow in that way. You're going to find out a lot about yourself in yoga. Also, the more advanced versions of yoga are so much fun to do. I can't wait to have more advanced clients because it is exciting to see what the body can do, especially when you take your time and you breathe. Yoga is going to help you find your breathing. So in the physical aspect of all of these 5 elements that probably do adhere to you in some way or form, probably all of them if you really think about it, that would be the physical side of things. So that's the most common one that I hear in the Western Hemisphere, because typically in Western yoga, you don't hear quite as much about the mind. You hear more about the body. So the asanas, the poses, the sits, all that jazz. Let's talk about the psychological. Okay, so psychological aspect of things. If you are going through a really rough time psychologically, maybe you're overcoming an addiction. Maybe you're overcoming a trauma. Maybe you're overcoming anxiety. I mean, there are a number of psychological elements that can be approached through yoga. In fact, half of my clients currently, and we're talking about March 2024, half of my clients currently are all talk. It's all communication. It's all perspective. How can we think of this differently? So there are a lot of psychological tools that you can use for yourself, like sitting down and thinking about something that may or may not be bothering you. Maybe it's bothering you, or maybe it's super exciting and joyous, but it's giving you anxiety. If you sit down with yourself and think about that, and then ask yourself where you're feeling that in your body, because there will be a correlation somewhere in your body. It's just been proven over time. You can do your own research on that one. So you're going to find that it's affecting your body in some way. And vice versa, your body affects your mind. So when you first approach the psychological aspect of things, you want to just think, okay, this isn't about movement. This is about psychological movement. This is about movement in the brain. This is about perspective, the way you view things. There have been a lot of famous quotes rewritten in many, many ways, basically just stating if you change the way that you think about what you're thinking, you will feel differently about what you're thinking. So perspective is huge. If any of you are going through any kind of psychological traumas, please talk with me, because there are many ways to view things in life that will possibly give you an understanding better of how to operate and how to resolve whatever is unresolved in your brain and in your heart. So the psychological side of things can affect your body. So once you kind of work through the mental aspect, then you can figure out, okay, where is this sitting in my body? How can I approach it? And with a professional yoga instructor, they can scan the body and help do the appropriate positions or asanas or appropriate flows, if you will, so that you don't hold on to that inside of your body. And if you're not feeling it yet, someday it could cause you pain. It could cause you a lot of other issues. The psychological aspect of yoga is huge. So when we talk about yoga, you think about the mind and body. And then, of course, in the Western Hemisphere, typically you just think about the body, but the mind is the other half of it. So Emotional. So I kind of blend these two together, I guess, emotional and psychological. But the emotional aspect of things, breathing can take you through anything in life. And in fact, it already has. Breathing has been with us from the very beginning. It'll be with you to the very, very end. And if you can master controlling your breath, out of all of the automatic functions that our body does, and I mean the automatic ones, breathing is the one that we have a little bit of control over. Now, if you think about it, say you have a panic. Maybe you're not prone to anxiety attacks, but people do panic either way. So what if you're panicking? You'll notice that your breath shortens, it quickens, it heightens. You might be wheezing even. It depends on the individual. So if your mind can take over your breathing and completely change it, and your breathing just goes along with it, imagine what can happen for your mind if you take control of your breathing. So if you breathe a little bit slower, more methodically, then your conscious mind has the ability to clear itself so that the subconscious that's working 3 times harder back there and just mowing away at stuff can relay messages to this clear mind. When you breathe a little slower, your circulatory system is allowed to flow better. Your muscles have a chance to respond instead of react. So our muscles are constantly reacting. They're either prepared for something or trying to be prepared for something, or they're putting up a defense mechanism that's extra because of some kind of injury or something like that, or anxiety. Our body responds to these things that are happening in our brain. So when we slow our breathing, our muscles are like, okay, we're in a safe place. We're in a safe environment. I can release. All of this is because of breathing. So breathing can help control your nervous system. Breathing can help you think more clearly. And so when you're going through some kind of an emotional mess, then the meditative aspect of yoga, which involves a lot of breathing, can help you through that. And after you practice more and more and more, and by the way, it takes many times as humans for us to have something repeated in order to actually remember it. Don't give up on yourself. You can do it. It doesn't matter if you're 80 years old, and I'm very serious about that because I have an 80-something-year-old client. You can still change. In fact, there are 2 things that are promised to us in life as humans: death and change. So believe it, you can change. It just takes repetition. And so myself being a trauma, I don't like to say victim, but PTSD and all the things that I've gone through, breathing and my yogic practice and my meditative practice have been able to, on repeat, have been able to help me now in real time when I'm going through some kind of a psychological or emotional damaging issue. So yoga can help you with that. Your yogic practice can help you with that. All of your emotional issues, let's bring them up. Let's pull them out. Let's figure out how we can approach them, because you're holding on to it all over the place. It's not just in your head. It's not just in your memory banks. So, or let's say that your emotional issues, that you're just so excited. I mean, I have a few stories from when I was younger. I used to be so energetic that people just really thought that I was like just all over the place, and I had to explain to them, I was like, no, I'm just really excited, but I didn't know how to control that, and it caused mood swings sometimes. And it's not because I have some kind of a psychological problem with mood swings. It's just that what goes up must come down, right? So we have that order of things, in and out. So these breathing practices and yogic practices can help to balance that beautiful essence of energy that's coming from power and love and excitement and joy. And when you can balance and smooth that out, you just feel so in control of your life. It can spread everywhere. You're actually present, which can be hard to do when you're extra excited. You can listen, which is great. And it's almost like you can extend that joy. So there we have part of the emotional side of things. Okay, spiritual and existential. These are great. So, spirituality is not a religion, okay? Yoga can be spiritual. It doesn't have to be considered a religion at all. And in fact, spirituality isn't. It's just the acknowledgement of being here. Do you see me? Do you hear me? Can you see other things? Can you feel things? I mean, I'm here. And so I'm acknowledging it, but I'm here now. I'm here right this very moment. So I'm present. And yoga can help bring your presence here and find this beautiful sense of gratitude for what we have now. I think it was Alan Watts that I heard say that nothing destroys the present more than the anxiety of losing it. And the anxiety of losing it is thinking about tomorrow, thinking about the next day, thinking about the next day and the next day. So you're just expanding your mind so far out to not right here that you've created anxiety and just completely destroyed your ability to be here now. So yoga can help bring you back into your body, back into your presence. When you're focused on your breath and your movement, just these two things that can just change everything, then you have to be present. You have to balance, or you have to recognize that you're seated if you're doing a meditation. So yoga allows for this beautiful presence and understanding that we're here, and then that bleeds over into this beautiful sense of gratitude. So whether or not you're going through a hard time, when you come to a spiritual realization of things, it's almost to the point where you can laugh at things instead of be hurt by them. You can enjoy and have gratitude for things like holding your partner's hand. That can be just as exciting as, the buzz and energy drink gives you. So the presence, that is that spirituality. It's that acknowledgement and gratitude of being right here, right now, which kind of rolls over into existentialism. So that's where you kind of freak out and you're going, oh my God, what is happening? I'm here. I'm a human. I don't know. I don't understand. I'm just having this moment of like, what is real? What is existence? Why are animals here? Why are animals different than trees? It's just, you kind of just have a mental breakdown, I guess. And mental breakdown can fall into any of these categories, but this goes above and beyond. This is on the existence level of things. So, first, I would like to mention that you guys should totally look up Esther Hicks and all of Esther Hicks' talks, because anytime that I've had an existential crisis, and yeah, it's happened more than once because I think about life all the time. This is literally my job. I listen to people like Esther Hicks and Alan Watts. So they are so grounding and just so beautiful. I mean, I aspire to be anywhere near the motivational ability of either one of them or even a fraction of it. That said, yoga can bring you back down to earth and help you remember, okay, this is the circle of life. This is what's going on. These are the things. Let's compartmentalize for a moment all of these other aspects, mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional. All of them just kind of explode when you have an existential crisis. But when you have yoga with you, whether it's the mind or body or both, you're going to be able to ground yourself. And I've got to pull you through one of these practices because it's so nice and so pleasant. Once you grant yourself just a little bit of time, it's wonderful. So that's just a very quick and dirty breakdown of the 5 aspects of yoga and why people come into yoga. And once you figure out your reason, like in one of these categories, and of course there are all these little subcategories that I touch base on in each of these categories and more. Once you figure out, like, okay, where could I improve, or where do I want to improve, or what could help me, or what could advance me, latch onto that. And then from there, if you have a wonderful yoga instructor that knows how to do this and has the experience, then they can develop a plan for you from there. That's why I'm saying that half of my clients, we're communicating. But that communication goes in a lot of different directions. Some of them are journaling. Some of them are, if you want to hire me, I'll tell you all about it. But there are different approaches to whatever it is that you want or need. Now, it's really easy to think that you want or need something that maybe it's a little deeper, or maybe it's a little bit different. That'll all shake out. Just give it a little bit of time. And when you have the proper yoga instructor that can work well with you, then they'll be able to figure out, okay, well, this person needs more communication, more grounding, more journaling, more movement, more breathing, this kind of flow, this kind of experience, this kind of ethereal concept, this or this or this or this or this kind of healing, So there are a lot of different ways to do yoga, a whole bunch. And I invite you to ask as many questions as you can, because yoga is all encompassing. So yoga means union. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching or listening. Please like or subscribe or follow. I greatly appreciate you listening in today, and I hope that your yoga journey is amazing. Namaste.